as we've been talking, has your definition of karma changed at all? Or has it stayed pretty much the same?
Maybe a bit. Maybe like seeing it like differently and like how other people might
Okay.
interpret it, I think, has changed a bit. So
And,
I definitely appreciate that.
okay. And your confidence level, has that remained about the same?
It drops a little bit, I can't lie.
Okay. All right.
Fuck, I don't know. Like,
Karma? Do you believe in karma?
a little bit, yeah.
Ooh, let's do that one. That might be a good example then.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I feel like I believe in it ideally, but the way I see things go, I don't necessarily think it's working as intended.
Fair enough. What is your confidence level that karma, is an actual thing that exists?
Like a strong 60, maybe.
Strong 60. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. And why do you believe that that's a thing? What's your best reason? Strongest reason?
I think it has more to do with like the individual. That if you're doing things like out of just either for the sake of goodness or to help others, that generally speaking, with that outlook, you'll end up in better situations yourself. So I don't necessarily think it's like, because you're doing a good thing, it's going to feed back in some energetic system and like come back into you. I think it just has to do almost with like what the character of like your actions, like just throughout your life, which is why if you do something good, just performatively, it might benefit you, but it won't quote benefit you in the same way because it's not like your genuine intention. It's just something you're doing for your own appearance. But I don't think that's always true. Because there are people who give their whole lives to service others genuinely, like out of the goodness of their own heart, but then never see that reciprocated in any way. So it's not like a universally true thing or always going to happen. But I think generally, if you do good things, ideally, good things happen to you. But again, not always the case.
Okay. Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard someone define it quite like that. So to kind of recap, you're saying that this isn't something that happens universally, and there's not, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's not necessarily like maybe a spiritual form behind it. It's just if you do good things, generally speaking, you'll see that reciprocated perhaps at a later time, but not always.
Yeah, or like that's like pretty much it. Just more. I think it has more to do with like if you're doing things like out of your own character, and that's just like the type of person that you are. Generally, things may or may not go better for you. But of course, a better predictor of having a quote successful life is, your material conditions. But then it depends how you define success. Is it about money for you? Probably not. If you're doing things just to do good things, and money probably isn't your goal, so you'll probably be fulfilled in your life if, again, that's the type of person that you are, and you actually enjoy servicing others and for the greater good and everything else, then you'll probably be satisfied and happy either way. So I don't know, I think it's, like, you have to enjoy helping others to even benefit from the idea of karma.
Okay.
So, like it's all, like, internal, in my point of view. But yeah, no, what ways it is pretty much it.
And how does, I guess my question is, so let's say I go out and I do some awesome things, and it is my genuine character. It's not like I'm doing it just so I get, something good happen to me. I'm genuinely being a good person, helping some people out, doing something just totally awesome, right? And then theoretically, if in this scenario, I would probably or most likely, I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that would come back to me, right? So something good would happen to me in return. I guess my question is, how does that occur? Is that something that just happens just because? Or is there a reason behind that?
I guess to a degree that'd be almost like based in like your faith in karma, if because like you could say, oh well, this good thing happened to me after I did this good thing, that could have been happenstance or that could have been a result of what I did. Because again, there's no way to like track the
Mm-hmm.
track the action into how it then reformatted into whatever you received. So yeah, no, so I think it there's a degree of faith, which is probably why I said about 60%. Because
Sure.
like if you believe in that, then you're more likely to perceive that good thing happened to you as an act of karma rather than an act of circumstance. Uh,
Sure.
so
Do you
yeah,
think
it's hard to know.
do you think every circumstance of somebody doing good and the good coming around and happening, or perhaps even in the reverse, if someone's doing bad things and then maybe bad things happen, do you think that in every single circumstance you could perhaps just kind of take a few steps back and that can be completely explained beyond karma as a factor?
Yeah, probably, almost certainly.
Okay. So if every single circumstance like that can be like 100% explained, is there really a reason to believe in karma at all then?
Really not. I think it's like a very idyllic way of looking at things. Is like because I mean, of course, you'd want your good actions to be repaid um, in some way, some cosmic way that you can't track or whatever. So it is like a little bit of like magical thinking. It's almost like it's like very similar, I think, to like sort of Christian ideals that you
Mm-hmm.
do things for God or you try to be as Christ-like as possible and everything else, and hypothetically that's its own reward, um, which is then that's supposed to be but it's stated like a lot more clearly, I think, in Christianity that like you're doing things for the sake of doing them, not necessarily because things will come back. Like I think of the Book of Job, if you're familiar with the story.
No, not specifically. If you were to recap it, I'm sure I would know it.
Oh yeah, it's a short thing. Like, dude was a king, had a great family, everything else. He took care of his whole fucking village. Great guy. And God was like, all right, I'm gonna test your faith real quick.
Okay,
And
yeah, I
he,
know it. Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then he still does good, and then I mean, but then nothing good happens to him, even though he still acts as a good person. Um, and then eventually he fucking dies. So like it's like that's sort of how karma actually works. Like he still did good things, and all the people had great lives while he was doing that. But even if you're doing good things, that doesn't guarantee anything itself, which is just kind of
Sure.
shitty. Yeah.
I actually thought you were going in a little bit of a different direction there. I thought you were going with so if you follow like the Ten Commandments or whatever and follow God's words, I'm air quoting, um, that you'll eventually go to heaven instead of hell, and hell would be like the negative karma, and heaven would be like the positive karma. I thought you were going down that direction.
Oh no,
Okay.
no, no. No.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Like I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was like a small thing about like I think hell generally if you do terrible shit to people, those people are gonna remember that, and like you're
Sure.
going to be remembered as a fucking shit person. So like whatever energy, quote energy, that you exist as after you're dead, all you remain as is negative thoughts in someone's fucking head. So I think it's hell in its own right, but I don't know if that translates to burning in a fiery pit or something. I don't think that happens.
Sure.
But just being remembered like a monster um, can hurt. I don't know. People still like Hitler a lot, so I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Hmm. Okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a small step back, and so we were talking about karma and how nothing that everything every single action can be explained without the presence of karma. So there's really every single circumstance can be completely explained outside of it, and I think the question I asked was like, is that does the is there a good reason to believe in karma if there's no, if everything that is karma can be explained in alternative or outside of the karma model. I guess my question is why is your confidence so high if there's always can be another explanation?
That's a good question. I think, again, because it's an ideal way of viewing things, and I think, unfortunately, like a lot of people don't really enjoy doing things just for the sake of doing them. I mean, being honest with myself, like I enjoy helping people that I care about. But if I don't necessarily have like a deep connection to someone, I'm not going to be as empathetic or as willing to help somebody. Although I'll still probably do it. Like I work in medicine, it's sort of part of my job, but I'm getting paid. And so I think like similar to Christianity and other religions, like the idea of doing good for good's sake or because you'll be rewarded more is, the larger, or not larger, but like the message that's put out, although in the actual text it says, oh no, you're not actually being rewarded, it's just for, so people actually do good things. But I think for a lot of people, the idea of doing those things without some intangible reward or thing they can't really see, or, it can motivate people to do the right thing who wouldn't otherwise necessarily do the right thing, which I think is manipulative and shitty, which is why I'm not a huge fan of organized religions, because that's usually then takes people's goodwill and transforms it into something else. But I think more on the question, I think it's not necessarily true, but I think it's a good way, or a good life philosophy to have, to get larger communities to help each other without the need of like, well, how is this going to be paid back to me, or just to instill selflessness in people. I think it's a good tool, but I don't really think it's necessarily true.
Okay. So, I mean, there's no doubt that having that philosophy might decrease crime, for example, or increase good deeds in a community. There's no doubt. And I think that's something that, is a good thing, obviously. But personally, I want to believe. I don't want to get too preachy, but I just want to interject this because I think it is relevant. That I want to believe in as many true things as I possibly can, and even though something might make me feel better, or it might do good in the community, I don't know that that's a belief that I want to hold on to. Is that something that you kind of agree with or understand?
Yeah, no, I definitely see that point of view. Okay. Because if you're having people believe in something that, even though it's not true, it does something good, if people find out that they've been lied to or manipulated to act a certain way, that's not going to go well. even if it did, result in like a net positive, if it's being done through dishonest means, I think that becomes a conversation of, well, is that still good because it, had this material aspect, but at the same time it was done dishonestly. I guess it then matters how much you view honesty means to an end type of shit. I mean, I sort of agree with you with that. I would rather believe the true things, which is why, I don't believe it as like a cosmic energy thing, more just if you could do good things in your community, people will probably know you as a good person. And you might get more opportunities afforded to you that way, or when you're down, or because life is unpredictable, and someone might be more willing to help you because you might have helped them. But even then, it's still like happenstance, and only works in a smaller community where the acts that you're doing are pretty much contained within that community. But in a world so large and so interconnected, it's hard to sort of guarantee. To the degree that you could quote guarantee it in a small rural community like where Buddhism or Christianity or all these other religions were initially implemented, or in these small areas where these things were probably more true if you had less people.
Okay. Interesting. Like I don't know how to necessarily word what my thoughts are here, but I'm going to give it a shot. I might sound a little bit all over the place, but I don't know that what you described is necessarily karma I mean, maybe it's karma too, and we can define words differently, perhaps. But like, let's say my neighbors ran out of gas a few blocks away, and I grab my gas can, and I go over and I fill up their car, right? And I do a really good deed to them. And then let's say my snowblower stops working next week, and they come over with their snowblower and help clear my driveway. I don't know that that's karma. I mean, perhaps it is. Perhaps you can define karma that way, but I think that's just part of community, right? That's just people interacting with each other and being homies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, true. Yeah, no, yeah, I think it like that matters like how people like interpret whether it's like religion or anything else, like in the more literal sense, or in like the more okay, let's see how this text applies to real life. So I definitely think it matters like how people say, because I've never seen karma again like as like some unseeable energetic force of will and nature, like it's really like seeing it like as how you describe it. So I think it is like a definition word issue, because I don't see it like as anything supernatural. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's only as real as like real life can make it. But which I said like it might like lose effects as societies grow because it's not fucking magic.
Sure.
But
so it's almost like a social construct in a way, like a social code.
Yeah,
Okay. As we've been talking, has your definition of karma changed at all, or has it stayed pretty much the same?
Maybe a bit. Maybe like seeing it like differently and like how other people might interpret it. I think has changed a bit. So I definitely appreciate that.
Okay. And your confidence level, has that remained about the same?
It drops a little bit. I can't lie.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much street epistemology, and that's one of the conversational methods that I use, and that's just how I think we need to talk with each other, not as necessarily a city, a nation, just as a world, I think. And I think that can really, hopefully, open up people's minds a little bit. And I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I think generally just conversations are important. It's hard, like, because there's two different sorts of conversations, at least, that I see on here. Like, having one-on-ones with people, especially people that I disagree with, I'm putting that in air quotes, because it's like, no, people disagreeing on whether or not I'm human is a different disagreement than maybe the definition of karma. But I think they're such different conversations if you're talking to someone just one-on-one compared to, like, a conversation with group dynamics. Like, it's two entirely different scenarios, because people are, of course, much more honest without an audience. You're not trying to convince the other person, you're trying to look good in front of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course the conversation serves different purposes. Shit sucks. But because of that reason, I much prefer like one-on-ones, because people, again, if you're honest about stuff, it's a much easier conversation to have. Especially when you're not trying to impress some fucking e-girl by being racist. Things.
Yeah.
Things are different.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I am actually running a little bit low on time, but what I would like to do is if you don't mind, I'd like to send you a friend request, because I definitely want to continue this conversation in the future. I don't know how your thoughts are on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I definitely really enjoyed talking with you. It was great.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to add you as a friend. And next time, perhaps, you do seem relatively interested in street epistemology and kind of this conversational method, right? At least mildly.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess what I'd like to do, perhaps the next time we speak, I don't know when that might be, but perhaps we can kind of go over it and maybe even do some sort of just kind of look at a different conversation, and we can both kind of give our thoughts about it. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, definitely sounds good, man.
Okay, awesome. All right, I gotta literally hit the road and get going here, but it was awesome talking with you. It was this was one of the better conversations I've had in quite some time, so I do thank you.
Yeah, no, same, of course. It's definitely a good change of pace compared to how the server tends to be. But yeah, no, drive safe, man.
All right, thanks. Take care, man.
You too, you too.
All right, bye.